Hi and welcome back to Free Science Lessons. By the end of this video you should be able to describe what's meant by saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons. You should then be able to use the rules for naming unbranched alkanes and alkenes. Now many students find naming organic molecules to be tricky. However, you need to understand that there is a clear set of rules, and by learning them and applying them you'll soon find it easy. Okay, so in this video we're looking at a family of organic molecules called hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons are covalent compounds containing only the elements carbon and hydrogen, and I'm showing you three different hydrocarbons here. We've got ethane, ethene and ethyne. Ethane has a single covalent bond between the carbon atoms. Now hydrocarbons which only have single covalent bonds between the carbon atoms are called saturated hydrocarbons. So ethane is an example of a saturated hydrocarbon. Ethene, on the other hand, has a double covalent bond between the carbon atoms, and in the case of ethyne, the carbon atoms are bonded by a triple covalent bond. Now any hydrocarbon with a double or triple covalent bond between the carbon atoms is called an unsaturated hydrocarbon. So both ethene and ethyne are examples of unsaturated hydrocarbons. Okay, going back to ethane, ethane is a member of the alkane homologous series. I'm showing you the first three members of the alkane homologous series here. We've got methane, ethane and propane. Now the alkanes do not have a functional group, but we still count them as a homologous series. Okay, now the first part of each name, in other words the prefix, tells you the number of carbon atoms. Meth means one carbon atom, eth means two carbon atoms, and prop means three carbon atoms. I'm showing you the first 10 alkanes here, and you really need to learn these. Now we can also use these prefixes to name alkenes. I'm showing you here an alkene with 3 carbon atoms. Remember that the names of all the alkenes end with -ene. So to name this alkene, we simply add the prefix for 3 carbon atoms to -ene. Looking at the table, we can see that the prefix for 3 carbon atoms is prop. So the name of this alkene is propene. Now as you can see, propene has 3 carbon atoms. However, there is an issue with alkenes with 4 or more carbon atoms. I'm showing you here 2 different versions of butene. Now as you can see, the double bond can actually be in 2 different positions. So to name these molecules, we've got to show the position of the double bond, and to do that we number the carbon atoms. Looking at the top molecule, the double bond lies between carbon 1 and carbon 2. And in the name we use the lowest of the 2 numbers, so we call this molecule but1-ene. Looking at the bottom molecule, the double bond lies between carbon 2 and carbon 3, so the bottom molecule is called but2-ene. Now I'm going to take a closer look at but1-ene to illustrate an important point. When you're numbering a carbon chain, you can either start from the left or from the right, so which end do you start numbering from? Well, the rule is that you choose the end which produces the lowest possible numbers. In the top diagram, I've numbered from the right. Based on this, the molecule will be called but3-ene. However, in the bottom diagram, I've numbered from the left, and in this case the molecule is called but1-ene. As I said, we always number from the end which produces the lowest possible numbers, so but1-ene is the correct name for this molecule. Here's another hydrocarbon, and I'd like you to work out the name. So pause the video now and try this yourself. Okay, we've got an alkene with a 6-carbon chain, and the 6-carbon prefix is hex. Numbering from the left, the double bond lies between carbon atoms 4 and 5. However, numbering from the right, the double bond lies between carbon atoms 2 and 3. So in this case we number from the right. So this molecule is called hex2-ene. In the next video, we're going to look at naming branched hydrocarbons.